Now let's move on to list operations. For example, if we have two lists, A and B, and we want to merge them together, we can use the plus operator to concatenate these two lists. So for example, if we have A equal to A, B, C, and D, and we have another list that is named B, and in this list we have five integers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we want to concatenate these two lists in a new list called C. We'll simply use the plus operator, A plus B, and let me print C, see what we're going to get. Let me run this code, and we're going to get A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this plus operator will just concatenate the two lists, A and B, and notice that we said A plus B, and we're going to get the elements of A first, followed by the elements of B. Okay, so this is it basically for the plus operator, and we can do the same effect using the extend method. However, if we don't want to create a new list and we just want to add these numbers in B to the list A, we can simply use the extend method. In this case, we'll use A dot extend. We're going to extend all of the elements in B, and if we go ahead and print A now, we're going to get A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to get the same exact result as before. However, now we're printing A. So let me go back here and create the new list A plus B. And in this case, if we print A, we are going to get A and A, B and B. And in this case, we're going to see that A and B are still the same. However, the C is the one that we are creating. So let me run this code, and we're going to get A, it is A, B, C, D, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and C is both of them concatenated together. However, in the extend method, if we print out A, we're going to get this result. So this is it. This is how we can merge two lists together, either in a new list or in a simple or the first list we have. Now, the second thing we can use is this character, and this we'll use it to repeat a list of a given numbers of time. So for example, if we have a list of characters A, B, C, D, and we want to repeat these characters 4 times, we will simply use A times 4, and if we go ahead and print this, let's see what we're going to get. Let me save this, run this code. We're going to get A, B, C, D followed by the same exact ABCD characters 4 times. So here we have the first time, second time, and third time, and the last fourth time. So this is it basically. For example, if I multiply it by 2, I'm going to get ABCD, ABCD. And it's not that I'm multiplying every element by 2. It's not even if I added some numbers here, I'm not going to get the multiplication of every number. For example, if I run this code, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not multiplying every element by 2. I'm not going to get 1, 4, 6, and 8. I'm going to get the same elements twice, or how many times I multiply it. Now let's move on to sorting lists. So for example, if I have a list of numbers, let's say I'm not having this list in an ordered. So for example, I have 3, 4, 1, 7, 5, and 10, and I want to sort this list. I can use the method sort that arranges the element of the list from low to high. So let's suppose I have the list A, and by using this method sort, I am sorting the elements in this list. If I print out this list A, I'm going to get 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 10. So they are the same exact elements, however, they are now sorted. Another thing is that this sort method also work on strings, characters, or anything. So for example, if I have here some characters, let's say A, C, B, and let's say I have H, and if I run this code, I'm going to get A, B, C, H. So this is it basically for sorting the list. Let's talk about some functions. First of all, we have the len function, and this just returns the how many elements we have in this list. So we already used this method or function len in strings, and when using it with strings, we got the length of the string. Here we have elements in a list, so we're going to get how many elements we have in a single list. So let's suppose I have this list A of 4 elements, and I want to print out how many elements. I'm going to use the len method of A. Let me run this. I'm going to get 4, indicating that this list has 4 elements. And another function is the maximum. And as the name indicates, when using the maximum, I'm going to get the maximum element in this list. And in this case, we're going to get h, since h is the maximum element. It is not the last element, it is the maximum. Even if I don't sort it, even if h is here, and let me delete it from here. Let us run this code one more time. I'm going to get h. And we also have the function minimum, and in this case, we're going to get the minimum element in the list. I'm going to get a. Now let's change the values here, for example, to integers, and let's say we have 1, 3, 4, 22, 77, and 34. And in this case, we're going to compute the sum. Instead of creating a for loop and passing through every element in this list, we can use the sum function. It is a built-in function in Python, and in this case, I simply write sum of a, and Python automatically compute the sum for us, and the sum is 141. And as you can see, the length is 6, the maximum number is 77, and the minimum one is 1. Now, if we want to compute the average, there is no built-in function to have the average of a list of or some numbers, so we'll simply use the sum function divided by the length or how many elements we have. So sum of A divided by how many elements we have in this list is going to give us the average of this list, and in this case it is 23.5. Now let's move on and create another example about how to compute the sum and the average of some elements entered by the user, and we're going to do it using two methods, one with a list and the second without it. So let's start with the first one, that is without a list, and in this case we are going to compute the total. So the total is equal to 0 at first, and we need to set counter equal to 0, and we're going to enter a while loop, and it is always true. So while true, we're going to get the input from the user, so let's name it imp, and we're going to ask the user to enter a number, and in this case, please enter a number, and we're going to get this number, convert it, and add it to the total. So first of all, how do we check if the user is done and this is the last element and we're finished now? We're going to compute the average and print it out. So simply by entering the letter or the word done, and in this case done if finished. So we're asking the user to enter a number and enter the word done if finished. Now we're going to check if this input is equal to done. So if imp is equal to the word done, we're going to break out of this loop. If this is not the case, we are going to convert this input from string to integer or float. So let me convert it to a number. So the number will be equal to float of imp. Then we're going to add it to the total. Total equal to whatever we have in the total plus this number. And we're going to increment the counter by 1. So counter equal to counter plus 1. Then after finishing from this while loop and after the user enters the word done, we are going to compute the average by dividing the total over counter, and in this case we're going to print this average. Average will be equal to the average we created. Let me run this code and see what we're going to get. We're going to get please enter a number, done if finished. So I'm going to write 10, 20, 25.3, 30.7, 44.5. And now I'm done. I simply type done. I'm going to get average 26.1. So Python gets all these numbers, store them in the total, and every time I enter a number, Python or this program will increment the counter by 1. Then finally, after writing done, it's going to exit this while loop, compute the average by dividing the total by the counter, and then printing out this average for us. Now, this is the first method. Let's write the same exact code using another method where will be using a list. So first of all, let me create a list and let's name it list. And in this case, list double T to be equal to a new list. And same as before, while true, we are going to take an input from the user and store it in imp, enter a number, and then we are going to check if this imp is equal to done. If this is the case, we are going to break. Otherwise, we're going to convert this imp into a float and store it in the number. Then we are going to append this into the list. So list dot append, and we're going to append this number. So we're adding every time we have a number, we're adding it to the list. Then finally, after finishing, we are going to compute the average by using the methods or functions we have in the list, using the sum of this list divided by the length of this list. Then finally printing out this average. So let me run this code. I'm going to get enter a number 20, 20.4, 23.7, 12.66, and then done. And I'm going to get this number 19.189 and so on. As you can see here, we just created a list and used the functions available for us or the built-in functions in Python, and in this case we didn't create a total or a counter to check how many times the user inserted or added a number. And as you can see here, using a list is much simpler than creating some variables outside, and this would be very helpful for us when we have some complicated or large amount of code. So this is it basically. In the next video, we're going to talk about lists and strings. So see you then.